Hi, and welcome to Wendy Rae's Idol Recap. I'm so glad you tuned in. Before we get started, I want to talk about Ellen. Now, I told you at the very beginning when I started these recaps that I was excited about Ellen coming because I thought she was going to add that comedic edge that Idol had been missing. And that's exactly what she's brought. I mean, last night, the whole song choice thing about her wanting to sing Who Let the Dogs Out at her grandmother's funeral and that being the wrong song choice, I mean, that was hysterical. But Ellen is also adding something that Idol's missed also, and that is the average Joe's opinion on the judges panel. And I love it. I mean, it's somebody without any music experience. They don't have a record label. They're not a songwriter. It is you and I giving them advice, which I think is good because that's who's voting. It's average Joe is voting, not the judges. And so I think it's really a good addition, and I think the contestants are getting a lot out of it. All right, let's get to it. Crystal Bowersox was up first, and she didn't look like she had been sick at all. Awesome. I mean, she looked great. She sounded even more amazing than she had. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. She said she's one tough cookie. She certainly is. The judges loved it. And I was really excited when Simon compared her to Kelly Clarkson at this point of the competition in season 1. That she's a serious artist because she really is. Next up was Haley Vaughn. Now, I was rooting for Haley. I was like, please, Haley, nail this. And then I found out she was doing The Climb by Miley Cyrus, and I thought, she might do well because this is the country vibe, young song. Then she gets up there and destroys it. It was awful. I feel so bad for Haley. And then when the judges were kind of telling her that was not working, the look on her face, I just wanted to give her a hug. I felt really terrible for Haley. I'm a little bit worried about her this week. Then we got to see Lacey Brown. Now, Lacey was going to do Kiss Me, which I thought, good song for you. I think this is a great song choice. And it had some good moments, but it also had some really pitchy moments as well. And I don't think it was a great performance for Lacey. It was much better than last week, just like the judges said. Much bigger improvement, but still not a great performance for Lacey. So I'm a little bit worried about her. But she's a sweetheart, isn't she? I loved the interview. I thought she was a real sweetie. Then we got to see Casey Stevens. Now, I told you when we first saw Casey that I thought she was one of the best women or girls in the competition. And I've changed that opinion. She's not. And she's actually, from the last 2 performances, not even close. This is not the same Katie that we saw sitting across from her grandmother hitting those beautiful notes. This is a far different Katie. And I think Simon nailed it when he said, you need some experience and you need to figure out the artist that you are, because she's just not there. And it seems to me it's inexperience, because I know she's got the chops for this. She's just not delivering. And it's very disappointing because I was a big Katie fan, but I'm starting to go the other direction for Katie. Next up was Dee Dee Bonami. Now, I like Dee Dee. She's not my favorite, but I like her. You know, my son thinks she hung the moon. And I loved her performance last night. She did Lean on Me, and I thought it was great. I thought she had a few pitch problems right there early on, but for the most part, I thought it was a cool rendition. I loved her voice. I liked the whole thing, and I was felt really bad for her and a little disappointed that the judges said, no, that's horrible. They just threw Katie right under the bus. And actually what it made me do was pick up my phone and vote for her. In fact, I texted 40 times for her because I felt so bad that the judges had thrown her under the bus. And I don't vote very often unless I feel that there was an injustice. And I thought there was last night. I mean, Simon even said it was like a cat screeching. And I just didn't see it. I liked it. I'm worried about Dee Dee only because of that, but I hope she stays because I think she's got a lot of talent. Next up was Michelle Delamore. Were you worried when she said she was going to sing Creed's Arms Wide Open? I was. I was thinking rock song, R&B artist, weird, big, huge risk. But I thought she did a pretty good job with it. I mean, she took this song and made it where I could see Whitney Houston singing it. It was great. Now, I don't think her performance was that good. I liked the change-up of the song. But I think her performance was not as good as last week's. I think she had a lot of pitch problems. But for the most part, the judges seemed to like her. And I'm sure she'll be fine. But I am a little bit worried about her just because of the change-up of the song. Next up was Lily Scott. Now, you know that she's like nails on a chalkboard to me. Her personality, something about her, I don't know. But I'm going to tell you something. Last night during her interview, she was quite charming, and I almost started to like her a little bit. And that annoying whatever it was started to go away. Now, I don't know if it's because I'm finally going, okay, she's a great singer, I'm just going to have to deal with it. But I started to like her, and I found it a little bit refreshing. And then she got up there and sang, a change is going to come, and I was worried about it, but wow. I mean, she is really awesome. Now, when the judges were saying that this was the best performance to this point, I was like, no, 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 no. Crystal is the best performance to this point. And I was excited that Simon agreed with me and he thought Crystal was too. But I'm going to tell you, I mean, Crystal and Lily, they are right up there. They are both really amazing, unique artists. And unique is kind of the theme for this season. I mean, you can say what you want about this not being the best top 24. In fact, people are saying it's the worst. But Randy was right when he said, we got a lot of unique contestants, and that makes the competition pretty fun. Next up was Caitlin Epperly. Now, she sang The Scientist, and I don't know what to say about Caitlin, and it's almost like the judges don't either. I just think she's kind of in the middle, being safe. She's not one that people are talking about going, wow, she's amazing, and she's not, horrible where people are going, oh, God, that's awful. She's just safe and in the middle. I thought she looked great. I liked the white piano. I thought that was awesome. But even as the judges were giving her feedback, they were even kind of just one word, that was good, solid performance. They just really didn't even know what to say to her. So I'd like to see Caitlin pick it up in the upcoming weeks and do something risky because I think she has it in her, but we'll have to see what she does. Next up was Paige Miles. She did a Kelly Clarkson song, and I thought she did a great job with it. I thought it was a lot of fun. It was almost reminded me of Lee's performance where she just was nailing it, and then she got to the chorus and it got a little pitchy. But for the most part, I thought it was great, and I really like Paige. Does she have the most beautiful eyes? I mean, they're almost entrancing to me. I absolutely love them. I didn't think Kara was fair giving her feedback from the songwriter's point of view, because the other contestants aren't getting that because they're not singing for the songwriter. So I don't know that Kara should have done that. I think she should have just given her critique on her performance. However, maybe Paige shouldn't have sang one of Kara's songs, and that wouldn't have happened. So anyway, good luck to Paige. And we ended the show with Siobhan Magnus, and she sang Think, and I was a little worried when they said she was going to sing Think, but she came out there and nailed it. I mean, she's a great singer. She's a really great singer. And when she hit that high note, were you just going, wow? I mean, I was in total shock. I thought, this girl can sing. She is a funny little thing, as Simon says, and she's kind of strange, to be honest with you, but she's a great singer. You can't deny that. I mean, when they were showing those video clips of her wearing those pink shoes, I just couldn't help but laugh. But I think she's a great performer. All right, so what were my top 3 performances last night? Well, Crystal and Lily obviously are number 1 and number 2, and I had a hard time choosing number 3. So I'm going to give it a tie between Paige and Siobhan. I thought they both did great, so I have a top 4 this week. And who am I worried about? Okay, well, I'm worried about Michelle. And I told you when I critiqued her, I'm only worried because of her song choice. I'm not sure that America's ready to see that rock and roll go to an R&B. I could be wrong, and I hope I am because I want her to stay. But I'm a little bit concerned about her. I'm very concerned about Dee Dee because of the judges throwing her under the bus. I hope that made America vote for her. Sometimes it works like that, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed because I really want her to stay in the competition. Not only because I think she's good, but because it'll be really sad in my house if she doesn't, because my son will be so depressed. But the worst 2 performances of the night, again, just like last week, Haley and Lacey. And I'm thinking if they're this bad last week and this bad this week, they might need to be on their way out. So those are the ones I'm worried about. We'll see what happens. You never know because America's voting and some of these people have a huge fan base that's voting for them. So you just never know. And I'll be excited to find out. The bad news is I am going to be on an airplane when the results episode is aired. My real job has to take precedence over this, obviously. And I have been called out of town. And so I'm not going to be able to do a recap of the results show. So I'm really disappointed about that. I will miss you so much, but I will be back next week when we get to see the top 8 compete for your vote. All right, so I hope that you guys have a great weekend. Hugs to you all, and I want you to make it a great day. See you next week. Bye-bye.